So, you want to learn inverse kinematics, do you? So you can make stuff like this. A person waxing on and waxing off. Or, so that you can make somebody who can move his legs just like this in an FPS or third-person shooter, which will inevitably fail because Phantom Forces is already destroying the rest of the competition. Well, you've come to the right place.
Here we go.
In my case, what you will want to understand before even delving into inverse kinematics is the law of cosines, which states in the equation c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2 times a times b times the cosine of y in this diagram, which c squared being this length squared equals a squared this length squared plus b squared this length squared minus 2 times the length of a times the length of b times the cosine of y. Now, the derivation before the law of cosines can be found here, which uses the Pythagorean theorem to explain exactly the equation slash formula that I just showed you. Now, you might be wondering why the law of cosines is important. Well, it's important because we're given the length of C, we're given the length of A, and we're given the length of B in inverse kinematics, in which A is the length of one arm, or limb, B is the length of another arm slash limb, and C is the total length from a specific point, or from your shoulder to a specific point. Now, given all of those, using the law of cosines, we're able to find the angle that is y. Some extra things to note are that if your shoulder position to your target position is such that your upper arm length is greater than this length, then you're going to want your upper arm and then your lower arm to reach like this, so that this is only going like straight down or something like that. And then this next length is rotated such that it is folded, but this one is not. Also, let's say that the position from here to here is greater than the total length of A being your upper arm length plus B being your lower arm length, then your arm can't reach it. So you can do one of two things. You can either have it reach out like this, or like this rather, or you can have it actually reach its goal, but then go like that. Now, I prefer having it reaching its goal. You might prefer something else, but if it actually reaches its goal, then say if you have a weapon or something like that, then it's physically holding it rather than it just pointing at it. Now, what you've all been waiting for, how we will actually use this in Roblox. To actually use this, or rather before we actually use this, there will be some key things to note, which is that the origin C-frame, which will be this value here, is the C-frame of the shoulder joint, and you can get this using some C-frame, which is your upper torso C-frame, multiplied by your shoulder joints C-frame 0, or C0, which is just a C-frame value of a weld or joint or whatever, and that the shoulder joint C0 should only be the initial shoulder joint .C0 before anything has been done to it. So when it's just sitting straight, which is basically just like this. This is when it's in its initial state. No animations or anything have been run on it. Next, the target pos or target position here is the target position you are trying to point to, which in this case will be this little red dot. And this will always be a vector 3 in the world space. Next, A will be the length of the upper arm, in which case I use 0.515 from another person's values that they have calculated. And B is the length of the lower arm plus the hand. So this is the upper arm right here. And then this is the lower arm plus the hand. And then those are just these values. Now, when we're actually doing this, we're going to first localize the target position in regards to the origin C-frame, and we can do that by using point to object space from the origin C-frame to the target position. And then we're going to want to take the unit of that, which will basically just point in a specific direction, or point in the direction that it's currently facing. And it will give you that in terms of vector 3 rather than a C-frame value. So it's effectively just a rotated vector 3, if you want to think of it that way. That's the most simple way I can put it. Next, we are going to use that to construct a C-frame, which will point from the shoulder position, being in this case the right shoulder, right here, to this target position. We will do that by first getting the axis of that, which we can do by using a forward vector 3, which is just a vector 3 which has 0, 0, -1, 0 being its x, 0 being its y, and -1 being its z. And that will just point forwards. And that's effectively a unit vector. And then next, we're going to want to get the angle of rotation, which can be done using that same localized unit. And then if we take the negative value of it in the z, we can get that very angle. And using that, we will be able to physically construct the plane for our inverse kinematic. Next, we're going to want to get the third value, which is c, which will basically just be the length from our shoulder to this position, which can just be gotten using that localized value right here, dot magnitude. And then next, as I've previously stated, if the c value is between the lengths of a and b, then we're going to return an offsetted plane, so that the lengths will physically reach the goal. And that's basically when the arm is pointing down, and then we rotate our arm. And then next, if c is greater than a plus b, in which case the physical length from your shoulder to this target position is greater than the length of the arm totally, then we're just going to push the arm forwards until it reaches that point with no rotated no rotated angles for our limbs. And then lastly, if none of that is the case, we're going to use the law of cosines, which has already been explained, and we're going to get the angles of the rotated arms, or the angles that we will rotate our arms by, along with the plane. Now, this is just for the solve arm technique, which we can physically use in something else. So this is just a demonstration of how to use it, in which case our target object will be this little piece, our character will be this guy, and then all the values of that, being the upper torso, lower arm, shoulder, and elbow, have already been classified, which is all of these. And then our initial values, which is just the initial right shoulder CO and initial right elbow CO. And all of those can be just preset values, since it will always be the same on a person. And then next, for me personally, I just made something that rotates, such as this will go in kind of like a circle, and that way we can physically view it. And then the target position is just the red point's position at any given moment. The shoulder C-frame will just be the upper torso C-frame multiplied over, and then the plane, shoulder, elbow, and elbow angle have all been gotten using this. And then we just set those values based on the plane. So we put that into object space of the upper torso, and then we multiply it by the shoulder angle. And then for the elbow, we just take the initial elbow angle and we multiply it by the elbow angle that's gotten using this, which is right here. Now, as for what that will physically look like, it just looks like a person who has been rotating the arm in this case, waxing on and waxing off. Now, that's it. Uh, I hope this helped, and there will be download links to the initial place with the waxing on and waxing off in case you need them.